Hi friends, Assalamu alaikum. This is A.S.Soomro and my today first lecture is on Anglo-Saxon periods or Old English literature. Actually, this period starts from 450 and it ends 1066 AD. Anglo-Saxon period, there were three main tribes who had come in England where first Celts used to live. And these three tribes, whether they had been invited or they had come there themselves, we will discuss and know through this lecture about the fact and figures clearly. And this topic will clear the concept of all those lovers of English literature who are going to prepare for their examinations and for their competitive exams. I hope that inshallah all my viewers, watchers, well-wishers, appreciators, cooperators, they all will means gain the full advantage and they will pray me. So let's start the Anglo-Saxon period or Old English literature that starts from 450 and till 1066 AD. Anglo-Saxon period, there were the three tribes. The first one of them were Angles, and these Angles had come there from the North Germany, and the second tribe was Saxons, and Saxons had come from the Saxony, and third last one was Jutes. They had come from the Denmark, and before these three tribes, the Celts used to live in the England. And who were the Celts? Actually, a group of Indo-European peoples. They stayed there from the 6000 BC till 50 AD. And there were these two tribes who used to live there. The first one of them were Barathans and second one was Gales. And these Barathans were later on settled in England, Scotland and Wales, while the Gales they stayed or settled in Ireland. Actually, Celts were also called the Britons in olden period, or now means Britain was the second name. Before the Romans invaded there, these means two tribes used to live there. Now the Romans invaded in the Britain in the time of King Caesar, and they invaded in Britain in 430 till 410 AD. Actually, these Romans, they were most dominant military force. Celts and Romans lived together peacefully, and they used Latin language. They had their Latin language because Romans, when they came there, they used the Latin language, and they also preached the Christianity there. So, Latin language was the main language of the Britain at that time. And the Picts, the Picts were means wild, and they were warriors. They used to attack the Britain timely. So the Horus king, he was the king of the Celts there from 398 to 420 AD. And this king means along with the Romans built the Hordians wall, means which in other words is called the Roman wall in 122 AD. And they built this wall in order to means protect themselves from the attacks or invasions of the Picts, because they were very dangerous at that time, and they used to attack the Britain, and they had embittered the Celts. So Visigoths at that time attacked the Rome. So Roman were called back because their emperor Horus said that you must come back because the Roman means state was in the danger. So the Visigoths attacked the Rome, and in 410 AD, the Roman emperor Horus, the Romans, they means say to their army that you must come back in order to protect or safeguard the Roman from the attacks of the Visigoths. So they had to go back there, and now, so again the Celts were alone, and at that time the Latin language was spoken by the Romans, and they were all the Christians, so they also spread the Christianity, and most of the Celts they also means learned their religious rights and rules. After that, Anglo-Saxons invaded in the Britain. Some people say that actually these three tribes I mentioned already, that Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. The Angles who had come from the North Germany, and Saxons from the Saxony, and Jutes from the Denmark. They had been invited by the king of the Celts in order to save themselves from the attacks of the Picts. So that is why they had been invited, and some people say that Anglo-Saxons they had means attacked themselves there. So actually the fact that comes or appears is that they had not gone there themselves. Actually they had been invited by the king, because at that time there were means the bad condition of the Britain, and especially the Celts tribe. So the king of Celts had invited them to come and protect them. So Anglo-Saxons invaded in Britain, and this period starts from the 450 to 1066 AD. Actually, they came from the North Germany, and they sailed across the North Sea in their long wooden ships. Means through the sea or by the sea they had gone there. They were brave and powerful. They also used Germanic language. No doubt they also used the old English language, but as they belonged to Germany and they had come from the Germany, so they had also the Germanic language, and along with the old language they also used the Germanic language there. So the three tribes, first of them the Jutes, they settled mainly in Kent, and they referred to themselves the Kentings. The second tribe was the Angles. They settled in East Anglia, and the third one was the Saxons. Saxons settled in areas of Essex, means East Saxons, Sussex, South Saxons, Middle Saxons, and Wessex, West Saxons. Means they had divided into 7 different areas at that time. Now we will discuss the Old English literature. Actually, in olden time, it's also called the Anglo-Saxon literature. It was in the oral literature, oral form. There was not a written form at that time. So their work was mostly in alliterative verse. They used the alliterative verse, and they used epic poetry. Hagiography means in hagiography what happens, they mention about the saint's life, and Bible translation was also there, and chronicles and riddles. About 400 manuscripts were survived, and 189 of them are considered major. Now we will discuss the important poetic works. Actually, these are the main poetic works, and first of them is the Wittste. This Wittste is a poem, means it is a travel song in which a traveler's life is told or discussed, and it has 143 lines. The second one is Beowulf. Beowulf is the most important work, and third is Doer. Doer, it is a lament song which has 42 lines, and fourth one is the Battle of Maldon. It is incomplete work, and fifth one is a Wanderer, a Bard's story. In this there is a person, he just wanders here and there, so the story of that wanderer has been depicted in this story, or means Wanderer. The sixth one is a seafarer, and it is a sailor's life in which the catastrophes, means problems, or the trials which a seafarer or sailor means faces has been discussed. 7 is the Dream of the Root, means it is a religious type of poem, and 8 one is the Crest and Satin. It is also a religious poem. The 9th is the Wife's Lament. 10 is the Husband's Message. and 11 is the ruin. And these all three last poems are called the wisdom poems. Now we will discuss the four major poetic manuscripts. And these below are the four major poetic manuscripts. The first one is X-Tear book. It is the most important manuscript, and 94 riddles are there written in this book. The Christ 1, the Christ 2, the Christ 3. And the second one is Jonius manuscript or Cadman manuscript. Religious poems and Bible translations are mostly written in this book. The third one is Wesley book, and in this book there we find the prose and poetry. The fourth one is Novel Codex or Beowulf manuscript. So far as the Beowulf, it is known as the one of the longest and best poem, and this poem is especially in means warrior type. It is a type of warrior in which the Beowulf is means mentioned or talked about, and it is known national epic poem of England. It is in an alliterative verse, and it has 3182 lines. It is a heroic poem. It's the longest epic poem in Old English, and it is novel codex book especially. Now there are the four major writers of this period that we now will discuss. Number one of them is Bedi. Some people say it just Venerable Bedi, but most of people say that Bedi. And second one is Cadman, third one is Sanwolf, and fourth one is Alfred the Great. The Bedi is a great historian. His most famous work was Ecclesiastical History of English People. It has been a vital source for the study of early English history for centuries. The method of dating events from time of Christ's birth, namely AD means Anno Domini, came into general use, and BC means before Christ. Bedi is also known as the father of English history. The second one is Cadman. Cadman's only known surviving work is a Cadman's Hymn, the 9-line alliterative vernacular praise poem in honor of God, which he learned to sing in his initial dream. He was the first poet of Old English to use Old English in his work. Third one was the Sanwolf. We have known more much about the Sanwolf, but he wrote on religious themes. He was author of the riddles of the X-Tear book. He wrote in vast lines version. These four below are his main poems. The number one is The Fates of the Apostles, Jolina, Lenny, the Christ 2. And the last one poet is the Alfred the Great. He is good name and a big name in the olden English history. He was the ruler of the Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Wessex. He had books translated from Latin into English, so people could read them. He is the only English monarch known as the Great. He is also famous for his victories against the Vikings. He also told monks to begin writing the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. He made good laws and believed education was important. Now, the Normans invaded in England, and they, when invaded in England in 1066, now it was the Battle of Hastings. Hastings was a town or the place where that battle took place, and Normans at that time was the King William I, and later on he is known that William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy, because they belong to Norman, so that's why they are called the William Duke of Normandy. And they had the 7,000 soldiers with along the 7,000 soldiers, they had means attacked the England, and there were the 700 ships. So through the ships, they had attacked the England, and they had come from the France. So that's why they means use the French language along with the English, and thus Anglo-Norman literature or language came there. And at that time, the hallowed Godwinson, he was the king of the England when the William first attacked, and the second one was the hallowed means two. The last king of Saxon was defeated by the William, and thus the Germanic, they actually had come from the Germany, so they used the Germanic along with the English, and thus the old English literature or means language came there. So I hope, my dear viewers and listeners, that the topic which I have discussed today to some extent have cleared their concept, because it was the basic, these were the basic things that I wanted to bring in front of you, and it was my first video. I trust that my viewers, if you like my this video, you subscribe my channel and bell the icon, and means leave the comments in the comments box, and I hope that inshallah, so that you can get the further means notifications timely. Thank you very much. God bless you.